What if there was a blueprint for changing the world that actually started with changing ourselves? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're exploring this really fascinating framework called Manifesting the Kingdom. It's a powerful idea about both personal and societal transformation, and we're going to break down precisely what it means and how it's all supposed to work. So let's get right into it.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we've got to define what the kingdom even is in this context. Then, we'll look at how it splits into these two core ideas, a person and a program. After that, we'll walk through the step-by-step blueprint for building people up, what a fully mature individual looks like through this lens of four faces, and finally, we'll talk about the ultimate goal of this whole thing.
Okay, so let's start at square one. What are we actually talking about when we use this phrase, the kingdom? You've probably heard this phrase a million times, right? Thy kingdom come. But have you ever stopped to think about what we're actually asking for? According to this source material, this is not just some vague spiritual wish. No, it's a very specific request for a whole new type of government to show up.
And here's the core definition we're working with. A kingdom is simply a territory, a domain, where a king's influence, their values, their culture, and their will are basically the law of the land. It's the king's domain. So when the source talks about God's kingdom, it means the culture and values of heaven literally becoming the operating system for a person's life, or even a whole society.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting. The source argues that Kingdom Come isn't just one single event, it's a reality that actually has two totally distinct but equally critical parts. So on one hand, you have the kingdom as a person. In this view, Jesus is the complete embodiment of this new reality. He is the culture, the values, the power. But then you've got the second part, the kingdom as a program. And that's the specific agenda, the mission that has to be carried out here in the world. So you see, it's an internal change that is designed to lead to an external mission.
And this is the key takeaway, right here. For someone who has accepted the person, the first half of that prayer is already answered. The kingdom has come internally. So the focus completely shifts. You stop waiting for something to arrive, and you start actively carrying out its program in the world around you.
So if the whole mission is to carry out this program, that begs a pretty big question. How do you build the people who can actually do it? Well, the source provides a really specific answer. A 5-stage blueprint for developing people who can effectively bring this kingdom into reality.
And here are the 5 steps. It all starts with the foundation, which is spiritual and moral development. Gotta have character. Then you build on that with real-world skills, capacity building. The 3rd stage is about influence, developing your leadership and your ability to connect with people. 4th is action, actually empowering folks to get out there and create change. And the final crucial piece is direction, connecting all that development to a clear sense of purpose, so none of it goes to waste.
Now here's the warning label that comes with this blueprint. The source is crystal clear. This is a package deal. If you skip a stage, let's say you build tons of spiritual character but you totally neglect practical skills, you actually create a defect. The person ends up being ineffective, unable to really carry out the mission.
So let's say someone goes through this whole process. What does the finished product look like? What are the key traits of a mature, balanced person who's actually ready for this mission? The source gives us a really powerful metaphor to paint the picture.
The essential question is, what does this ideal kingdom agent actually look like in practice? The source gives us a fascinating answer, describing them as having 4 distinct faces.
And this table just lays it out so brilliantly. You need the face of the lion. That represents dominion and authority. But if that's all you have, it leads to pride. So you also need the calf, which represents service. But if you're only a servant, you just burn out. Then you need the face of man, to acknowledge our own humanity. But that can easily become an excuse for not doing things. And finally, you need the eagle, representing a divine perspective. But that can make you detached from the real world and its problems.
So the whole point is that none of these faces can stand on its own. It all comes down to one word: balance. True maturity happens when the authority of the lion is perfectly paired with the servant heart of the calf, and when the reality of our humanity is elevated by the higher perspective of the eagle. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. Why? Why do all of this? What is the ultimate point of building these incredibly balanced, mature individuals? Well, the answer is about something so much bigger than just self-improvement.
You see, the end game is societal transformation. The entire reason for all this detailed personal development is to create reformers, people who can carry the values and the culture of the kingdom into every single sphere of society. We're talking business, the arts, government, science, everything.
The source just nails this idea with this powerful quote: "Revival happens when revivalists are ready." Think about that. In other words, large-scale societal change isn't just some random event that we're all sitting around waiting for. It's waiting on us. It's waiting on the readiness of its agents.
And a revivalist in this framework is not just a passionate speaker. No way. It's a person who has been holistically developed. Someone who embodies that balanced strength of the lion, the calf, the man, and the eagle, all at once. Someone who is truly ready to bring effective, lasting change to their world.
And all of this leaves us with a really challenging final thought to chew on. The core argument here is that if you want to fix broken systems, you have to start by building better people. So the question for us is, what would actually happen in our world if we made the development of people our primary strategy for change?